another amazing guest, Wellbeing and personal transformation coach and speaker, Saima Majid. How you doing? You okay?
I'm good, thank you. Really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Georgio.
It's an absolute pleasure. How's things okay?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Good. You've been really busy?
Yes.
Yeah,
In
I
a
can
word.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the simple answer.
I mean, I always like to find out actually from my guests as well is obviously during the pandemic, how have you found this past year and a half? I mean, have you been okay yourself? Have you
Yeah,
yourself
I
been
think
okay?
for me, what happened last year was I was kind of moving my work towards online anyway. That
Mm.
was my sort of dream. And so it kind of happened quicker where I was thrust into moving it like onto online.
Mm-hmm.
So I think last year actually was easier for me than this year has been in terms of just kind of threw myself into work and I had
Mm.
so much going on. Whereas I think this year, because I think this year we expected things to now start going back to normal,
Mm.
this year's been more of a shock to the system.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's been last year I would say was pretty good. Sad, no, not
No.
obviously not taking away the sadness of what's
Yeah.
gone on, but for me personally,
Yeah. I mean, were you even busier during the pandemic? Like you said, you were moving more primarily to online. I mean, were you
yeah,
even busier during that period?
yeah, yeah, because there were certain things that I was asked to do, like deliver meditation courses to help people.
Mm.
I delivered some talks to corporate organizations on how to keep your kind of energy high when working from home. I was doing a belly dance class last year as
Oh,
well,
really?
and I was supposed to stop in March,
Yeah.
but that continued through the pandemic because people wanted to do it. So there was different projects that I was given as a result of the pandemic and to support people.
Yeah. I mean, how did you find giving talks and doing belly dancing classes online? How was that? Was that quite weird for you? Was that okay for you?
So giving talks, I find quite nice actually. I
Mm.
don't find that. I think I can feel your energy right now. You can feel my energy.
Yeah.
I don't think the screen is necessarily a huge barrier. Although obviously face to face is much nicer. So no, I didn't mind at all. And this, earlier this year, I gave one at the University of West London,
Mm.
and again, it had a really positive impact. And so I don't think it made a difference that it was over Zoom. Belly dance, yeah, is a little bit that's trickier, and I think with a lot of like physical exercise, it is a little bit trickier having people face to face, and if people don't mind being like touched, and you can kind of correct them and stuff. But even though that was the case, I think my class members just loved having that there as a tool,
Mm.
as something to look forward to.
Can imagine. Was it a big class and was it weekly as well or every other day? How did it
It was
work?
it was weekly. It was
Yeah.
because it's not something I'd planned for. I was supposed to finish in like April, and
Yeah.
then that was it. And then because I used to actually how it all came about. I was teaching a walking group. So have you heard of Nordic walking? Have you ever heard of it?
No, what's that?
So it's like they walk with like trekking poles.
Oh yeah,
So
I see
they use trekking poles and they
that.
walk. And it's really good for the knees. It supports your knees.
Mm.
And so it was a walking group and they wanted an activity. So in the summer they're out and about, and in the winter they didn't have as many activities because of the weather. So
Mm.
that's how that came about. So I was teaching them only in the winter.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, it was supposed to finish in kind of March, and
Mm.
then it continued. And then I started just asking my own network if they wanted to do them. So then, yeah, then I started attracting more people.
Ah, that's brilliant. Oh, well done.
Yeah.
It's about the Nordic walking actually. Now you mention it, because my neighbour does that all the time. I see him walking everywhere with actually the hiking sticks.
Yeah.
And I never knew why he did that. It was amazing, but I never knew exactly why he did that. But now you mentioned about the knees. It's good for the knees.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, I
Yeah.
might have to. My knees are messed up, so I might start doing that myself then.
It's good. I tried it. It's really good.
Is
It's
it
fun.
good? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to try it out then.
Yeah.
But I know actually, say now, going back to the start, actually, you grew up in the Midlands, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was born here,
Okay.
and I moved away for university at 19.
Mm.
And then I moved to London after that, and lived in London for 14 years.
Wow.
And then I moved back a few years ago.
Oh, brilliant. How was that transition going from Midlands to London to back? It must have been such a huge transition for you.
It was, and I think going to London from the Midlands was so exciting. You know, I was 22, and I just graduated as a textile designer, and going to London was amazing. I feel like I blossomed in London because obviously, because I'm creative, I'm very creative, artistic. I think what London gave me was exposure to culture, and I've always felt like a bit of a misfit. And I think in London, if you're a misfit, you fit in.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You know, like, you know, there's people from all over the place.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was exposed to dance and music and arts, and I loved it. I thrived, and new markets. But then what happened was, I worked in the fashion industry, but so my 20s were great, but my 30s started becoming more challenging. I think I didn't have any family there. And I think as I was getting older, and I think work was I was becoming more senior in the corporate world. And I think the person I was, and the person I was required to be, I wasn't that person. I'm quite a kind of, I think my value system was completely out of alignment with the environment that I was in. And that manifested in kind of mental health issues. But I say that, but it was also an awakening, because at that time I realized that I just didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore, and I wanted to work for myself. And so then that's when I came back to Derby. And I think coming back to Derby then was perfect, because had I come before I was ready, I probably would have been resentful. But because I came from happiness, you know, because it was going to give me some respite, it was going to allow me to heal while also setting up my business, you know, because it's a slower pace of life. Although I say that, it's not that slow anymore.
It's catching up to London.
But it was just, I think it was just what my soul needed at that point in time. And it was the best decision.
Yeah, because I saw about how your time after a while was about 2015. You mentioned that your mental health and exhaustion just played a big part in it as well, and you kind of fell out of love with that misalignment, like you said. But I know that you studied at Loughborough University, was it? Loughborough, sorry, yeah. Yeah. How was your time at university? You said you blossomed there. How was it for you?
University?
Yeah.
I think university, I didn't really fit in.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I know your face is like you're waiting.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Again, I felt like a misfit. I didn't know things about myself then that I obviously know now. And I think what I was craving, what I must have been craving, I think I've always been passionate about world culture, and which I didn't know at the time. And I think what happened was university life, it's very kind of one-dimensional, where it's all about going out drinking. And I came from a Muslim background, so I grew up in a Muslim family, and it was conservative. And so either that can either go one way or the other. It can either be like you go to university and you go crazy, you know, because you've been so oppressed. Yeah. Whereas for me, I didn't. And I think it was the opposite, where I just didn't fit in. And I think the things that give me joy are not sort of the crazy party lifestyle. It's more like it's what you do. It's like going to a beautiful music concert and then going for a beautiful dinner afterwards, or you know, seeing live music or something really cultural. And so it just wasn't an environment that fed me.
Wow.
But then it was London that fed me. It was London that gave me that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because a lot of people who went to university who you deem as confident, after university, you know, didn't thrive in the way that I did. I wouldn't have regarded myself as someone that was that confident in university. But then I'm leaving university, I thrived.
Wow.
It's very interesting.
It really is. I mean, are you the kind of person, I'm like this, are you the kind of person that kind of learns better just by doing things as opposed to a more academic sort of structure in a way?
See, I'm a geek. I'm a real geek.
I'm a big geek as well.
Yeah, I love learning.
So do
I
I.
absolutely love learning, and I'm a big reader. I'm a big documentary watcher. Yeah, I'm
Same.
obsessed. But I think what happens is at university, it's really interesting because I feel like there's a skill set that you need to thrive in the working world, which is quite different to university. University's a cocoon, you're safe, and I think when you go in the working world, it's other qualities that you need to utilize, and I didn't realize that I had those qualities. And I think I've always been a bit older as well, very sensitive, very old before my years, and I think just those sort of like quick satisfaction of going out, it just didn't serve me. It never has. It's never been the thing for me. I think I've always been looking for something meaningful, and so meaningful, deeper experience. And I think, but I love learning. I absolutely love learning, but it was just more the culture. It was more the culture. And so, I mean, I haven't stopped learning since I've become a coach. I literally haven't. I've had my head in the books, constantly.
I can't. You sound exactly the same as me. Cause I've always felt like I've always been older than my years. I mean, I never liked drinking. I've always preferred staying home and learning and reading a book and watching documentaries. And it's weird though, because exactly like you, as much as I love learning, I just love learning, reading books and listening to podcasts, watching documentaries. Put me in like a kind of school environment though, or a university or college, and I really struggle for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like I didn't college I loved, but I don't know why. I've always struggled with being in a kind of academic place, if that makes sense. I've always struggled, although I'm obsessed with learning and knowledge. I wake up every day excited to learn something new, whether it's reading a book or learning something brand new. I love it.
Yeah.
It's weird that I've always struggled in that kind of environment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's too maybe rigid for us.
Maybe.
I think, are you quite free-spirited? Because I'm very free-spirited, and I think I don't like being caged in.
Yeah, same.
And I think those environments can often feel like that.
Yeah.
And also, I think, we're doing a fashion, doing a art degree. It's very competitive as well. I don't really like competition. I'm more like, let's work together. And it's kind of, that competition was encouraged in that environment. And that's, again, why the corporate world was difficult for me, because I don't like those sort of highly competitive environments. I'm about kind of, like now with my clients, I want to be in the background. I want them to thrive. I want to be the person that's in the back, encouraging, motivating, inspiring, and they're at the front, they're blossoming, they're, thriving.
Yeah, that must bring you so much joy though when you actually do that though. When they come to you with help and you see them blossom into something brand new and amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
I can imagine. I can't wait to get into that into more detail in a minute actually. But can I actually go back to your fashion actually? I know that you actually designed for some major brands, didn't you? Like Laura Ashley and a couple other amazing places. Yeah. I mean, seeing your designs and work at these major brands and then people actually wearing them after, what was that feeling like for you?
It was really lovely. I think at the beginning, it's really lovely because it's like, oh my God, I've designed that. And then I think eventually it just becomes a part of life. Like it's just a normal part of your working life. So it kind of, because it is your job. So, but yeah, there's definitely a little thrill you get when you see someone wearing something that you designed. You see it in like, a magazine or, in a newspaper or something. So it was really satisfying.
That's amazing. I mean, did you see anyone in the streets actually wearing your design? I think I designed that.
Yeah, it was really funny because we had a celebration. We celebrate Eid, which is like a Muslim celebration. And my niece came wearing a dress I designed from Monster. And my brother-in-law had bought it for her, obviously without knowing that I designed it. So, you know, it was really funny because, yeah, she came wearing it. And I was like, I designed that. And it was like,
oh, what was that reaction like when you both saw each other? Like, I designed that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because it feels so far removed, you know, like when someone goes to a shop, that it's the design, whoever designed it is unknown.
Yeah.
You know, and so to have that person in front of you is quite weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can only imagine that. That's amazing
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But going back earlier to when you mentioned that you kind of fell out of the kind of love and misaligned yourself with the fashion and the corporate world and so forth. You mentioned that you did obviously meditation as well and cognitive behavior therapy. How soon kind of after did you kind of go into that world of meditation and therapy for yourself?
It was coinciding a lot. It was coinciding with everything that I was going through. So I think it started before I left the industry. And it was a friend actually that said, it was a couple of people that said, stop, just from conversations I was having and like sharing how I was feeling. I can't even remember those conversations now. I just remember those people saying to me, you need to start meditating. And obviously at the time, I'd never heard of it. Or maybe I'd heard of it, but it was never on my radar. And Wellbeing wasn't as big as it is now. Now these practices are just normal, you know, you hear about them all the time. But they weren't. And I think it was so foreign to me. But I started, and literally, I mean, it was like the floodgates just opened. I started meditating, and it was like my soul was in so much pain and it was so tired. And because the thing is, I think, you know, working in a fast-paced environment, having quite a fast life, you're just coping, you're just going, and then you stop and you're like, oh my God, like literally, I have not given myself a break, you know. And so that's where that started. And then another friend suggested CBT, so I started having therapy. And yeah, it was the best two things that I could have done at that time.
I can imagine, because all it takes is one moment just to open up your eyes to a whole new world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard so many amazing things about meditation. Like you said, it's been around for years, obviously, but it's only now-ish really where more people are doing it.
Yeah.
I've heard so many stories about people just taking 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever it might be, just to meditate. And for you, was it like a daily thing that you did it, or were like every other week, or how did you kind of do your routine of meditation and CBT?
Yeah, so with meditating every day, ideally you want to do it every day. So I still meditate, you know, every day. Or the thing is, sometimes what can happen, what a lot of us do, when things are going great, we stop doing those things, but you've got to continue. And the CBT, I was having it kind of every 2 weeks, I think, at the beginning, and then it kind of became every month, and then it obviously then it stopped. But CBT is something that, you know, same with coaching. Like, you know, I did a lot of inner work, but I have done a lot of inner work since then as well. So that was the beginning of my journey, but I've done inner work repeatedly through my process. So the thing is, they are always things that you might need to go back to, you know, because as human beings, we're constantly learning about ourselves, we're constantly growing, we're constantly shedding old parts of ourselves, and through that process, sometimes you need support.
Of course, we definitely do.
Yeah.
And with the CBT, like I was saying before the podcast, that I'm really fascinated about the brain, really fascinated.
Yeah.
What kind of things were involved with CBT exactly? Did they give you like a daily plan for you things to work on, or just talk? So how did it all work exactly?
Yeah, so with CBT, it's more about talking, and you do get given kind of certain tools and exercises to do in the session, and then it's actually very similar to coaching in many ways. You know, and then my therapist would always say, are you eating well? Are you exercising? You know, so it's about kind of looking after yourself holistically. But yeah, there was just a lot of purging. So there was a lot of talking. There was a lot of kind of digging deep, digging into the past, you know. So yeah, lots of talking.
Yeah. And how long did you do that for?
I think in total I did it for about 3 years.
Oh, wow.
But in the end, I just wanted to hang out with my therapist. I was going to my
paying him to chill.
I was going to my sessions, and I didn't have anything to say. And I was like, yeah, because I think the therapist or even a coach can become such an integral part of your life, because the thing is, they've helped you overcome something that's so deep within. That you develop this relationship. I used to have this fear that if something ever happened to my therapist, what would I do? Like, I'd be like, what will I do if something happens to him? And so I think he also helped me transition from London to Derby, so supported me through that process as well. So he was supporting me through different things that were happening in my life. But eventually, like I said, I was going to my sessions and just having a chit chat. And then it was like, right, Saima, you really got to stop this now.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, are you still in contact at all?
No, sadly. Well, the thing is, he's there, and we kept in touch, because I haven't had it for years now.
Yeah.
We kept in touch, and if I was to email him tomorrow, he would, get back in touch. Like, we had such a good relationship. But yeah, that reminds me, I need to get a reach out and just say how I'm doing.
No worries. Oh, that's amazing. But you actually mentioned about kind of purging there and talk about maybe like different traumas and so forth. I mean, for you, when you first initially started CBT, was it very difficult for you to actually kind of open up in ways that you never thought before and kind of go through things that were disturbing in different ways?
I don't think it was difficult for me to open up, only because I am someone that will do whatever it takes to get better. To get well, I will do whatever it takes. I know that is a huge fear for a lot of people, to open that kind of worms, to go within, because they don't want to confront what is there. For me, that wasn't the case. I was like, I will do whatever it takes, and so I wouldn't say it was difficult. I wouldn't say that was difficult, but the process was difficult in the sense of the healing journey was painful. It was painful. Yeah,
I can imagine. And that journey, you said like towards the end, you're just hanging out with your therapist. And kind of, how long do you think it took you to really get everything off your chest and get to the point where you are today? Did it take you, like, say, a few months, a few weeks, about a year or two?
Yeah, the thing is, it's tricky, because I'd say it took about a year. Yeah, it took probably a year to work through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But then other things would come up, other things would kind of come up, and I can't even remember what we were doing in between. Like, the third year was probably chit chat, and like just not even doing much. I think maybe in the second kind of year, maybe it was a transition. It was the move to Derby, and so so he really helped me through that journey, because that was going to be quite a big thing for me, because obviously I lived in London for such a long time. Yeah. So he helped me through that. But I would say a year. I would say a year to really but then the thing is, Georgia, it doesn't stop there. I think when you do this inner work, when you're on this journey, based on certain triggers, it comes up again. Like your traumas are in layers in your body. They're like buried like in your body as layers. And so you do a load of inner work and you're releasing one layer of trauma, then that something else might trigger you like a year later or 6 months later, and then you might have to do some more inner work. And so the inner work kind of continues, but the more you do, the more you let go of, the more you release, the more free you kind of start becoming and feeling. So it's not as simple as kind of just a year and then that's it.
Of course.
It's kind of ongoing. The inner work is ongoing.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the layers there, which is something that actually you do with your meditation. Is it 10 steps of meditation that you do?
I said, I've got a course called 10 Days of Meditation.
10 days, sorry, yeah. And going back to going through what you learned through your CBT, have you kind of applied that to what you do today now with what you do in everyday life to your work as well?
Yeah, so I think there's a big crossover with, there's a very therapeutic element to coaching, because we do, depending on what the client needs, what their requirements are. So for example, one of my clients last year was suffering with anxiety, so we kind of did a lot of therapeutic kind of work in coaching. But then sometimes, through someone can come because they have a dream, but you end up doing deep work because it's very tightly connected, because obviously a lot of your limitations are linked to past experiences, your limiting beliefs, and you are connected to your past conditioning and the messages that you've received externally from the media, from family, from culture, from society, from education. So you have to kind of unpack and give those messages back that don't belong to you, so that you can blossom and you can be who you were meant to be.
Exactly, I couldn't agree more. And was it around that sort of time or soon after where you took the plunge to become a performance coach yourself?
So what happened was, when I came back to Derby, it was really, it's all really weird now, because you don't know what life's what's gonna come, and so you kind of, I think something I've always done is just gone with what my heart is telling me. And so what I did was, when I came back, I set up my own accessories business here. So that's what I knew,
Yeah.
And so I designed printed scarves, women's scarves. But alongside that, I trained as a personal trainer. So it was a fitness industry that I've started in. And I think what was going on, it was quite, so that I'd always been passionate about fitness and well-being. And I knew that if I worked on my accessories business, it would be very sedentary and it would be very lonely. And so alongside that, I thought this will be amazing, because I'll be able to work with people and I'll be able to be active. So I did those two things alongside each other. And then in 2017, so I started that in 2016, both of those. In 2017, my best friend took her own life.
Oh no. I'm so sorry to hear.
Yes, yeah. So that was, huge. That was such a massive knock, in my life. And straight away, I just started campaigning around mental health issues. Like, I just literally, it was a knee-jerk reaction to that. It was like something inside of me saying, you've got to do something about this. You've got to, I think I used that real tragedy to do something, And so I started campaigning, and I designed a range of t-shirts with like slogans that said things like, at times I feel overwhelmed by the world, I want to be heard. And I created, so I photographed lots of different people from age groups, communities, ethnicities, races. I put a campaign together, and then that was on kind of, that was in the press, and I was on radio a few times about that. And so I think what was happening was, through this journey, mental health, well-being, spiritual well-being, physical well-being was becoming very much a part of my life and my life's work. And so in 2018, it came to the crunch time where I was like, I can't do both of these things and give them what they deserve. And so, and also what was happening was, I was creating product, and I think because I was becoming more conscious, there was a part of me that was thinking, I don't want to just create more things for people to consume, it's bad for the environment. I was losing a passion for a product and having more things and encouraging people to buy more things. And so I packed up that business and I focused on this. Then I did my meditation qualification. And then in 2019, I qualified as a transformation coach. So performance coach is the qualification for I refer to it as a personal transformation coach. And that then allowed me to work with people holistically and use all my knowledge, my experiences and everything, and put that all together. And the thing is, you know, the fashion, the culture, that's still a very much part of my brand, because I've actually worked with dancers, I've worked with, you know, artists, I work with designers. So I think because of that, it is still inherently a part of my work.
Wow, that is amazing. And I'm so sorry to hear the news of your friend as well, though.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But going to what you do now, obviously, with your sorry, I keep coughing my asthma. But you mentioned about earlier about your couple of the courses that you do as well, like for instance, the 10 days of meditation, and also the Design Your Life program. I mean, when putting this all together, which one did you want to focus on first and create first?
Oh, it's all kind of happened. It's happened gradually.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Georgio, you were going to say something.
That's all right. Nick, how did it all start for you? Like putting this whole thing together? Did you get a lot of advice from people? Think like focus on this first and create that first, or was it like an organic thing for you? How did it all work initially?
Well, I've had 2 rounds of business coaching myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wow.
I have continued to invest in myself, and I think that's really important. You know, and so I had business, because the thing is, there's so many, I mean, you're a business owner, so many things that you have to learn as a business owner, and so many kind of mindset limitations that you have to overcome, you know, when it comes to money, or you know, your pricing structure, or who you want to serve, a client avatar, you know, all of those things. And so I think the courses have come as a result. I mean, it's not like I just one day woke up and created a course. I started delivering talks, then talks became individual one-off workshops, then one-off workshops became bigger courses, you know, so it happened like that. So like, you know, delivering meditations weekly, and then, you know, creating courses, you know, so it's kind of all happened very gradually, and it's like literally like you're building something. It's literally, that's how it's happened. It's like one step at a time, you know, you're building. So it's been gradual, but I think now the courses themselves are probably a combination of things I've learned, things from my own experience, and what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Helping people with,
Yeah. And do you feel like with what you do now, is it any particular fields that are, say, the most popular choice from everything else, like your talks or particular courses or things that you offer? What's the most popular thing that you seem to be doing?
I think what my biggest passion is to help people to kind of heal their souls and live, you know, be authentic, you know, and not be afraid. You know, one of the biggest barriers to living authentically and living, you know, the life that you were supposed to live is external judgment and self-worth issues, you know, feeling like you're worth your dreams, you know. And then, you know, that a barrier to that is asking for help. Like a lot of people are so afraid of asking for help. They think it's a negative, but it's actually a massive positive.
It is, really is. Yeah.
It's huge. It's brilliant. And I think, you know, often my clients will say, it's okay to ask for help. You know, like if I say, can I have a testimonial? They'll say, in the testimonial, they're always right. It's okay to ask for help. It's always okay to ask for help.
Always.
And I think what I'm really passionate is just about really elevating people's consciousness, self-awareness, you know, helping them identify their behavior patterns, what's holding them back, working through that so that they can go on to live the life that they want to live. One of my clients, she's not a client anymore, but she's moving to Bali this September, and she started coaching in November for 4 months, and her dream for one day in the future was to move to Bali and take her business. And when she started coaching, she was hating Zoom. She hated teaching. She's a fitness instructor, hated it. And as things progressed in coaching, and asked her what her dream was to move to Bali. Well, the only way she was going to be able to move to Bali is to take her business online. And so she's fell in love with doing that now. She's really fallen in love because there's a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was a dream she had for one day in the future, but it's actually manifested in less than a year.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I think when you're working with someone, they're in your corner. Things that you're afraid of, they're saying, come on, you can do this, you can do that.
Yeah.
And you can't expect that from anyone else in your life.
I mean, you can't.
You can't. It's too much, you know.
It is. I mean, I couldn't agree more with what you said about asking for help, because it's not a weakness at all. You actually asking for help. And I was reading the testimonials that you got on your website. They're amazing. I mean, the work that you do and offer to people is incredible, and it shows through the testimonials. So well done. It's amazing.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And I was also reading as part of your work as well about the PDF actually for the modern day seeker searching for more meaning in life. Amazing. And one of the points you mentioned there was actually finding a mentor or a coach. So for yourself, who was your mentor or coach?
So in the first mentor, coach that I had was a London-based coach called Amy Rushworth. So I had 6 months of coaching from her. And then recently I had another London-based coach called Chelsea Cox. So I've had 2.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Are you still in touch with them as well?
So we're all kind of social media. Like we're all in touch through social media. Yes.
Oh, wow. I know that another point you mentioned was also embracing nature, which is something that I love as well. I mean, are there any particular places that you love to go to or wish to go to that you always go to like clear your mind or go for walks or?
Yeah. So walking outdoors, in nature is something that is a huge part of my life. And I'm quite lucky because I live in Derbyshire.
Yeah.
So we have the most beautiful parks,
Yeah.
We have the Peak District, which is not that far. And so, on the weekends, it might be, further afield, but there's a beautiful park not far from where I live, and I try and get out kind of regularly.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, last year I was really good. I was doing 10,000 steps every day before 8 a.m. But
what, really?
Yeah, I was so good last year.
Drink a coffee and walk. That's amazing. Yeah. But are you looking to maybe do more courses in the future, expand out into different things, or are you looking to like focus on what you have for now and then maybe decide down the road?
So basically, my Design Your Life course, I've just relaunched it because I launched it last year and actually delivered it face to face to begin with, and then the pandemic happened, and then I took it online, and so the course then is very different to the course that I've just relaunched, because a year on, there's so much more and so much more value in the course. So it's got, I mean, I'm really proud. So I've just launched that, and that it starts in the 3rd week of September. So enrollment is open now. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So if anyone wants to work on personal development and well-being and work on their dreams and their goals and self-awareness, work through their limiting beliefs, then, that's a really, really fantastic kind of resource there. My other passion is to work with students, and I've coached students one-to-one, but my dream is to create a version of this program specifically for students to help them with well-being, but also personal development, confidence building. That's one of the things, as I've coached students, confidence building is something that comes up, quite a lot, lack of confidence. And so I'd love to work with more students in the future.
Amazing. That is incredible. Wishing you all the very best of luck with it all.
Thank you.
It's okay. I'm fascinated about your Design Your Life actually. How will it work then, the relaunched version? So will he say sit down with someone for say a couple of sessions and then design something from there, or would be like a one session then design something after? How will it all work? Or like a block of sessions? How will it work exactly?
So it's an 8-week course.
Okay.
And there's 4 modules.
Okay.
So the first one is called Visualization, Intention and Action. So it's about visualizing your life, and we'll be using like NLP, we'll be using like meditation to visualize, and then actually create a strategy based on that visualization. And then I teach goal setting techniques, goal setting techniques that I use myself every day, you know. And then module 2 is self-discovery. So it's about going within, finding out who you are, because if you don't know who you are, which many people don't, believe it or not, you can't really create a life that kind of is authentic. You know, you need to go inwards. So in that second module, there's a lot of inner work. The third one is about limiting beliefs, so the things that are limiting you. So it could be self-sabotaging behaviors, it could be procrastination, it could be your money mindset, different things. So we'll work through those. And then the final module is stepping into your power. So that's when you will implement a lifestyle. So that would be your well-being, that would be your kind of manifesto going forward. But all the while you're working on your goals. Through the course, you're working on your goals from module 1. So you're working through it. You'll have support to WhatsApp support group. You'll get given downloadable meditations to do to support you during that period as well. Wow. And so in WhatsApp support group, if you've got any questions, then I can answer them while you're doing the whole course. So you're having support in and outside, and workbooks. You'll get workbooks.
Wow, that is amazing. That is so good. And is it fairly similar to how it was before, or is it completely different? You know, like you relaunched it.
So it's just a lot more slick. And because I think as you progress, your work naturally gets more refined. There's a lot more tools, because I've given a fair few talks since then, and you know, often in my talks I offer different resources and things when I'm giving a talk about something. So there's just a lot more tools and resources and knowledge for people, you know. So yeah.
Talking about talks, actually, I know that TED was your companion, wasn't it? Your obsessive TED talks.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any particular favorite talks that you listen to or have listened to in the past?
I don't listen to TED Talks as much anymore, weirdly enough, but I think Simon Sinek's, do you know Simon Sinek?
I do.
Your Why. I can't remember I loved his talk. Who else? There's loads, but I can't remember now, because I can't. You've got me, Georgio.
And I'm sorry. I always do that.
They're actually in my course. A lot of those talks are in my course. So at the end of each module, there's a library of resources, and I share books and podcasts and talks TED Talks that I basically helped me, and I share them in the course at the end of each module.
That's amazing. That is so good. And has there been a dream of yours to give a TED Talk as well one day?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think I'm waiting, because I don't know what the thing would be. I think it would be living a life with passion. I think that's what the subject would be.
I love that.
Yeah.
And talking about, you'll get there definitely 100%. 100% you will. And talk about a few more questions, actually. Talk about more refined, actually. Going back to your 10 days of meditation, I've seen some of the things you actually do, like morning meditation, to inner confidence meditation, centering meditation. I mean, how did you put this all together? How did you manage to choose what you wanted in the 10 days?
I think it's about offering people offering a variety of kind of almost like topics that they might need for that day. So if you know you're low confidence, then if you need motivation, then you'll do the guided morning meditation. If you want to be out in nature, if you need to ground your energy and balance your energy, you might choose to do the sacred tree meditation or the island meditation. So I've kind of given a diverse range, so that it's based on what you might intuitively need that day. You know?
Love that.
So that's brilliant. How I've designed it.
Okay, fair enough. And actually, last couple of things actually before we go, actually, is I'd love to find out more about your Trailblazers Journey podcast.
Yes.
It's amazing. How did that all come about, and what's it all about exactly as well?
Yeah. So basically, the Trailblazers Journey is a bit of a self-indulgent podcast in the way that it's about all the things that I'm passionate about. So that would be like your world culture, social activism, consciousness, well-being, entrepreneurship. So I'd say they're the kind of main topics, that I cover. And I think, again, the podcast has really evolved. I started it in 2019. I do it now seasonally, so we're in between at the moment. So the next season will start end September, and it's been amazing. This, I think, like I said, it's evolved. So this last season, I've had people from all over the world, and musicians, dancers, well-being people, and coaches, and I think, the breadth of people has just expanded over time, and just people who I myself want to kind of align myself with, and then people who I'm inspired by, so they will then go on to inspire others,
That's
so
amazing.
So it's been beautiful. Like, it's been a beautiful journey.
Can imagine. And I've asked this before, actually, to someone else, one of my guests, actually, recently, Sophia Lopacaro. She does it on podcast too. Do you feel like, in a way, podcast is kind of therapy for you as well, and other people, just talk about problems and whatever it might be?
I think it's definitely a great resource to help you with whatever you're going through. So I think, if you need inspiration, motivation, podcasts are amazing. If there's a specific issue that you're kind of needing guidance on, you can search it. If that's gut health, or I've covered lots of topics on my podcast, and I think you almost forget what you've covered. But if you go back, there's so many different topics. Like, we've done trauma, we've done healing the gut, we've done body confidence, so many different issues. And I do think, I think podcasts, and it's like, people say to you, it's like listening to two friends having a conversation. There's nothing formal about a podcast. It's like someone that's sitting in your living room having a conversation. And I think that's really nice.
It is. That's why I love them so much, because it's just like a couple of friends talking to each other, which is why I love them so much. And you just learn so much, don't you, from all your guests?
Yeah.
I mean, for you, are there any particular episodes that really stood out to you, thinking, wow, that was a really good episode? They're all amazing, obviously, but were there any for you in particular, thinking, wow, that was actually really, really good, that one? I learned so much.
Do you know what? There are so many. There are so many. I think the one that I was really starstruck this year, because there's a belly dancer she's world famous.
Wow.
And I admired her for, so, like I said, I teach, but I've actually been in that world for a long time, since my early 20s. And so I started following her work about 11 years ago. And
wow.
She's international star. And I asked her to be on my podcast, and probably didn't think she'd say yes, but she did. And now we formed a friendship.
Wow.
And then what happened following that, she came on my podcast, and it was amazing, because she's someone who's really built her business. She's really built it over time. She's been a dancer for 25 years.
Wow.
And she is incredibly talented, but also has worked hard, and they're my people, and so she came on the podcast, and what happened was, she following the podcast, she said to me, Saima, she goes, I hate hearing myself. I hate the sound of my voice. And she goes, when I listened to the podcast, I felt like it wasn't me talking.
Wow.
She goes, I felt like it was someone else. She goes, girl, you got skills. And so she invited me to live coach her on IG Live.
No way.
And she's got a huge following. So we had 50 people tuned in. And I had to coach her on her life.
Really?
And because she was at a crossroads in her career. And it was absolutely amazing. It was so amazing. And I think that experience this year has been really great. Like, I think building relationships with people. You know, it's not just about the podcast. It's you formed a relationship with that person, and you don't know where that can then go. You know, and I think that's really beautiful. So I think, you know, there's so much value in all the episodes. But I think for me personally, that was probably just from a personal selfish point of view.
But I feel the exact same way. And you know what? I think the most perfect way to end the podcast. So I'd say, Saima, thank you so much for today. It's an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgio.
Absolute pleasure. And how can people find you actually as well online and find your work?
Yeah, so it's on Instagram. It's saimamajid.uk. And same for my website. It's www.saimamajid.uk, no co. And if you want to directly contact me, it's info@saimamajid.uk.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the end of the episode, everyone. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.